My name is Jordan Wilkins. I'm a National Conference Director with Government Technology, and I'm excited to be speaking with Jeff Klein, CIO for the state of Wyoming. Jeff, to get us started, could you briefly introduce yourself and share a bit about your background, as well as your role and team in Wyoming?
Yeah. So I have had the pleasure to serve as the CIO for the state of Wyoming for the last year and a half. It's been a passion of mine to serve in public sector. For 4.5 years before joining Wyoming, I was the CIO for the state of South Dakota, and before that, a couple of years in a public sector role in Illinois. I love the mission-driven aspect of the work that we do day in and day out. As far as the background of our team, so both South Dakota and Wyoming are a centralized IT organization, meaning that from all the state agencies, my organization holds most of the core fundamental IT things: networking, cybersecurity, computers, end user support and operations and things like that. So the one thing that we don't own in Wyoming, don't own day in, day out, is the application. So we work very closely with the agencies on their application management and governance. Statutorily, we define standards, policies, procedures that the agencies, things like that. We do a lot of work with the legislature on reviewing tech spend, looking for efficiencies, economies of scales, and things that we can leverage to make sure we're doing IT the best possible way in Wyoming.
Perfect, and thank you for your service for multiple states in public IT. You've been involved with this event for a couple years now. Can you talk about the Wyoming Digital Government Summit and why it's so valuable to bring state and local IT leaders across the state together?
Yeah. So I'll give a little bit, and the reason I gave the background on why I work with so many states is because this event is something that I've found value in throughout my career in public sector. It started in Illinois. Illinois' procurement's a little bit stricter than most, where you couldn't talk to vendors outside of very few opportunities. And this was one where we had an open opportunity to engage with vendors. In South Dakota and then Wyoming, being small states, you realize very quickly that the more we can do collaboratively, the better we can get in driving technology excellence in public sector. Sometimes local entities have very small teams, and trying to get everything done the best possible way, reaching out to peers around the state to get best practices and to get ideas how to overcome a challenge, or in some cases responding to urgent situations in the most effective way possible. A lot of that, being able to do that, comes from relationships, and being able to come together as a technical community focused on public sector to build relationships, to share best practices, to engage with vendor community, who a lot of what we do, most of what we do, is dependent on that vendor community being there to support us and to help us to drive the innovation, to drive the efficiencies and the economies of scale that we really need to drive in public sector to make those state taxpayer dollars go the furthest that they can. So I'm one that I believe in building relationships and things like that. And I found throughout my career that these events, the public sector digital government summits, are the best way possible to come together as a community of practice and to build those relationships and start those discussions year in and year out. So as we come together with the advisory council committee and we identify things to talk about, those are things that are specific to Wyoming. These are things that are specific to the challenges that we're facing today. So we can come together and talk about our challenges and start the conversation. A big thing that's also for me is this starts the conversation, but it shouldn't be the end, where we can continue the collaboration and the work outside of the conference. But this is a great forum to come together and to start those critical conversations.
I love that. It's really important for everyone to come together because then you have colleagues you can call on to bounce ideas off of or have a partner when a crisis happens. So I love that we can create those connections. And you mentioned industry partners. For our industry partners who may be watching and considering attending the event, what would you say to them about the value of participating in this year's summit?
So the value is, and this goes for any third-party vendor that wants to do business in a public sector environment, relationships are paramount. Public sector procurement takes time. You need a put the effort in to understand where the challenge is and things like that. Sometimes it'll take a year or two to get budget lined up. Sometimes contracts are hard. So it's an investment in time and relationships in order to get to where we need to be. And that's something that I think most people in public sector are passionate about. We're not looking for a vendor relationship. We're looking for a strategic partnership and a relationship that's going to help deliver the services to the citizens. Because really what we're about, it's not about making money, it's not about the shareholders, it's about citizens, it's about neighbors, it's about friends, that we're trying to drive a improvement in services, that continual improvement in services and doing it. So as you come to the table, we really appreciate what you do. Just understand that we're looking for people to invest in those relationships in the long term with the states and the locals, not just the quick sales.
Absolutely. And this is a great place to start getting to know the people of Wyoming that are actually working on the projects and can help make things happen. And then on a more personal note, what are you most looking forward to at this year's event? And what do you hope attendees ultimately take away from the experience?
Well, something I always look forward to is the relationships gained. I want to build the relationships with people around the state, from the locals, the cities, the counties, the school districts, all these different people to come together, because I want to be able to leverage the experience and knowledge I've gained to help somebody else. Because that's really what public sector is about, is helping others around us, right? So I always look forward to coming out of there, having those relationships and getting to know the different vendors communities and what services and innovations and things that they're driving. We leverage in public sector a lot of the innovation that the vendor community does, especially in small states. We don't have the massive budgets that help us, that can other states leverage to drive different things. But what we do is we look at those vendor communities to apply what they've learned somewhere else here as well. So that's another thing with that strategic partnership, is help us to do better. The one thing I love about Wyoming is it's small enough that we can do innovative things quickly and easily and don't have to worry about too much complexity with the data sets or things like that. So we can be that innovative arm, and that's, I think, evidenced by getting our first digital currency out there, the Wyoming stable token, which is really fun. If anybody's not heard about that, I'd love to chat about it sometime with you.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, thank you again for your time and for your leadership in Wyoming. We're proud to partner with the state of Wyoming and are looking forward to the 4th annual Wyoming Digital Government Summit in Cheyenne on May 20th. We hope to see you all there. Thank you.